We're going to talk about luck meets preparation. I'm going to talk about, I want to talk about not making it, not being picked up or accepted, not getting the deal you want, but eventually getting it because you're prepared. I'm going to explain that in a moment.
Opportunity rarely knocks on your door. You have to go out and find the opportunities. And when you find them, you have to grab them by the neck and shake them and roll them and take them down because they're not yours when you find them. They're yours when you take advantage of them because you're prepared.
Welcome back to our channel. We have another good story for you today to help you bounce back to success. We're going to talk about luck meets preparation. I'm going to talk about, I want to talk about not making it, not being picked up or accepted, not getting the deal you want, but eventually getting it because you're prepared. I'm going to explain that in a moment. Hi, Max. How are you today?
Good, Tony. Good to see you again.
Max, as always, I'm having so much fun with this Bouncing Back podcast series. I would love to continue it. We're getting some good responses.
Good.
We're getting people to think. We're getting entrepreneurs or maybe wannabe entrepreneurs or people that would like to do something. It's thought-provoking, and that's what I'd like to accomplish. And it looks like that's happening here. So I'm grateful. And in your chapter 5 of your book, And So It Began, you teach us a lesson that I've never heard before in my past interviews. And it may not be the lesson you wanted us to teach, but, I read things and I ponder, I think.
Good.
And here, yeah. And you're talking about being prepared, and you applied to get into the Air Force Academy. You weren't accepted, but you were still prepared. And I thought that was so cool because what happened next is really cool. Can you tell us, Max, tell us about that time when you were going to go to the Air Force, and, it's kind of a not a happy thing. You get a letter or you get a memo saying, sorry, you're not selected, but you didn't tear it all up and trash it. So you want to take us there and tell us that story?
Yeah, as we wander through this story, I think there's some things that we should consider. Luck, preparation, opportunity. Which comes first, which is prepare. So when preparation meets opportunity, if you are prepared for what may or may not, but what may come about, then that's when preparation meets opportunity, and you can call it luck, but it's maybe a little more than luck. Now, opportunity is an interesting thing. They say opportunity, when opportunity knocks on your door, you need to be ready. Well, let me tell you something, Tony. Opportunity rarely knocks on your door. You have to go out and find the opportunities. And when you find them, you have to grab them by the neck and shake them and roll them and take them down because they're not yours when you find them. They're yours when you take advantage of them because you're prepared. Okay, so here's what happened. My congressman in Tennessee, instead of taking the rights that he had to appoint one person to each of the military academies, he decided it was better politically if he selected 10 candidates and he made them compete against each other. And so I thought I was riding high because I had worked with him. I knew him well, and I'm going to get this appointment. No, you have to compete. So you have to take these written exams and physical exams and all that stuff. And then he selects the one that he thinks is best qualified. Okay, guess what? He didn't select me. What? How could he not select me? I'm the big man on campus in high school. He didn't select me. Well, I found out later why. The Air Force Academy, as an example, 25% of the ones chosen are chosen because of athletic prowess. Okay. Now they have to be qualified in all of the others. They have to, have to have great grades, and they have to have been involved in a lot of extracurricular activities and whatnot, but they're chosen. And so That's 25% of the pool that isn't available to the rest of us that were not, high school champions. So another fella got selected. I was down in the dumps. I was just so sure I was going. Life magazine had done a big article about this brand new Air Force Academy with the buildings and the jet airplanes parked around, and they were dressed in blues and silver sashes and swords and sabers and they had a social program there, and Life magazine showed a picture of these cadets with these really attractive ladies. Oh man, it just all sounded so good. And I wasn't going. I didn't get selected. Felt terrible. Well, a lot of people, a few that get selected, change their mind. They decide not to go to the military academy and put up with the hazing and the tough first year, the plebe year, the dually year. And so there were some slots that had been assigned that turned out not to be available. They called it alternates, selective alternates. So I get up one morning and I go to the mailbox, and guess what? There's a letter. And I was selected as a qualified alternate. And so that's how close I didn't get to go to the Air Force Academy. Turned out all right, Tony. As you know, I've had a very successful career. I had a successful military assignments, and Nam got shot down a couple of times and all that stuff. It all went well. And I ended up 21 years later, the Air Force Academy selected me as a distinguished graduate from the Academy, even though I almost didn't get in. Okay. So when preparation meets opportunity, you need to take advantage of it. You really need to take advantage of it. Okay. So that's a story about being prepared for failure. I didn't throw away my resume. I didn't throw away the letter. I didn't call them up and tell them to, shoot themselves. I stuck in there and it worked.
And I want to go over that a little bit more
Okay,
because
good.
you didn't tear up the resume.
Oh.
You didn't go to another school. You didn't sign a contract somewhere else.
Right.
You don't know what went in your mind. You may not have planned it, but you didn't close that door on that opportunity. You still know the congressman, you're still, have some connections to Washington, but you didn't close that door, and you stayed prepared is the way I'm thinking. And because of that, that opportunity came back again as, well, okay, Max, you're now a plan B. You're an alternate. Well, you're their plan B. And then it actually happened. You became their plan A, their first choice, which is absolutely amazing how that worked out. And I guess the takeaway for me is, even if you don't make the deal or don't make the thing, as you've mentioned, don't say, hey, go F off, you didn't just shut everybody down for them to then consider you when they needed you. And that's really important. And I've interviewed a lot of people, and I've never had that lesson really brought to the forefront like this. And that's why I'm trying to really bring that out. That to me is the big takeaway here.
Well, yeah. When preparation meets opportunity has part B to it. Okay. The preparation is not just to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. Once you take advantage of the opportunity, the preparation has to continue. So what all did you do after you had the opportunity? Were you prepared for what was required to succeed in that opportunity? Okay, so example, an awful lot of people that go to the academy quit after the first or during the first summer, the so-called hazing summer, the dually summer, the plebe summer, when it's really tough and you kiss a lot of concrete doing push-ups and all that sort of stuff, okay? But you had to be prepared for that. And I did. I studied hard before I was accepted. I worked out physically before. I even went to the dentist and had all my teeth fixed, okay? I was prepared not to get thrown out of this place. And so preparing to take the opportunity really only starts when you have the opportunity. You follow what I'm trying to say? That you now have prepared to do well with the opportunity. All right. And so here's the funny part of that. Remember I said I didn't get selected? but someone else did. Well, he was a high school from another town, not my town, but he was a high school champion baseball player. And the academy wanted him badly to go on the baseball team for 4 years. Well, right before we went to the academy, and I met him before we went, he broke his leg playing baseball. I don't know, slid into third base or something, I don't remember, and was on crutches. Now, he called the academy, the athletic department, told him what had happened, and they said, well, come on out. We'll see what we can do, about this. Well, he went out and they allowed him to go through Dooley summer basic training on crutches. Well, now he couldn't do all the physical punishments that we all had, hazing, because he's on crutches. He didn't have to march. He was on crutches. And so he got a chance to observe what it was like, the regular program. And he says, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this for a year. I'm going to quit. And so he did. He quit. He resigned, even though he had been selected basically a baseball scholarship. And he goes back to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and he makes the baseball team. And so it's like now October or something of the year, and he sends me a letter with a picture in it. And Tony, there he is at Vanderbilt, his arm around a co-ed, a bottle of beer in his hand, and the note says, Max, wish you were here.
I love it.
So I don't know who got the best end of that opportunity, but it sure turned out well for me.
Absolutely. And you could have done so many other things that would
Yeah.
have taken you out of that plan B, out of that alternate. You could have gone to Tahiti and just made a life of a beach bum selling coconuts on the beach or anything, and
Or
just like
back to Washington.
disappeared. You could have left the picture, left the scene, or you could have done, I'm not going to say, you could have done things that would have prevented you from ever going into the military, depending on what you would have done. But you stuck through and kept that character, that channel. And that's what's really, really important. It's what you do, and then what you do when you get that failure, or that, hey, you're not selected, or sorry, I can't, we're not doing that deal with you. And that's
So,
what's so important. Go ahead.
yeah, sometimes when you're in the middle of an opportunity that you have taken and you get discouraged and feel downtrodden. That happened to me still during this first summer. I looked around. I got this letter about how nice it would be if I were at Vanderbilt, maybe in law school or something, or I could have gone back to Washington, D.C. I sent a letter home to my dad. And I said, Dad, this hazing is really something. I'm thinking about quitting. Now, they say at the academy, it's harder to quit than it is to stay. And it's because of ego and pride and the opportunity if you can make it. My dad sent me back a note, Tony, and he said, okay, if you want to come home, that's fine. That's your decision. But I have to ask you, son, will you be comfortable walking down Main Street in town, looking in people's eyes and knowing that they know or they think he wasn't tough enough? He wasn't good enough. He quit. He's a quitter. Look at all these other young men and women that made it. He couldn't hustle. He said, if you can handle that, he said, come on home. Well,
Wow.
of course, yeah, you can call it negative motivation or whatever, but there was no way that my pride and my reputation and my dad's reputation, I think, were going to be damaged by the fact that I quit, that I wasn't tough enough. So I stayed, and you know the results.
What a good mentor. Your dad would have made a great coach. He's good. There's a lot to say about having your I's dotted and your T's crossed. And I
Yes,
just
sir.
thank you so much for giving us this great talk. Thank you, Max. Thank you very much.
No, it's fun. It's always fun to be with you, Tony.
My pleasure. And again, to our audience, just want to thank you all for hanging out with us today. And if you have a story about being prepared and not making it after being selected, please tell us. And if you like this podcast, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and we'll see you on the next episode, Bouncing Back.